This chapter has three conversations. The first one between Aaron and Cal. The second one between the Trask and this new Bacon family. And the third one between Aaron, Cal, and Abra. So first, the conversation between Aaron and Cal. They basically talk about two things. The chapter opens with them shooting a rabbit, and immediately they have a discussion about who the credit should go to. So any reader of this novel will know that this is an allusion back to the third chapter of the novel, where Charles and Adam give birthday gifts to their father, Cyrus. Adam gives a stray dog, and Charles gives an expensive knife. And Cyrus prefers the gift of Adam, and he won't even play with the knife of Charles. And that draws the reader's eyes back to the fourth chapter of Genesis and the story of Cain and Abel, where Cain offered God the fruit of the land, the farm, and Abel offered, as a shepherd, offered meat sacrifice, an animal sacrifice. And so we are forced, I think, by Steinbeck to wonder, is this a retelling of the Cain and Abel story? Well, let's also remember that with Charles's mother, Adam's stepmother, she misunderstood which of the two boys gave her the gifts. She told Adam that Charles was way nicer than he realized because he always gave her, his mother, secret gifts, when the reader knows from our omniscient perspective that in reality Adam was the one that gave the gifts. So all throughout Genesis 4 and all throughout East of Eden, there's been this discussion of, will the parent be pleased with the gifts? And just a couple chapters ago, Lee gave us his theory of human evil, of human sin, and that is that we feel rejected and then we lash out and a few more steps ensue. But we're wondering if Lee's theory is going to play out too. So the boys seemingly aren't in step with those previous stories in that neither of them really want the credit. So maybe Steinbeck now is asking us to say, well, maybe we're not going to repeat a Cain and Abel story. We have a C name, an A name. We've got twins, not just brothers, but they're not focused on who will get the credit. In fact, they seem to be trying not to get the total credit. Then the conversation switches to their mother and father, and Cal mentioning that this land is all going to be ours when our dad is in a box underground, dead. Interesting that the chapter ends that way, with something dead in a box. Anyway, they have a discussion about the truth about their mother. And Cal has heard someone say that their mother ran away, that she is not dead, and Aaron believes with all his heart that she is dead. Why does Aaron believe that? Because Lee wouldn't lie to him, and certainly our father is not a liar. Well, a good reader needs to remember that Charles and Adam had this same discussion on the demise of their father. Charles is convinced that Cyrus is a liar because he couldn't have possibly been to all these battles that he said he was at. And secondly, he didn't make nearly enough salary to have left an inheritance for the boys of that amount of money. So Charles is sure that their father is a liar, and Adam says, well, I don't love him, I don't need his approval, so I can also believe him. And so we have this repeating of the pattern, but will it repeat? Will Adam continue to lie to the boys about their mother, or will he be different than Cyrus? Will he tell them the truth? And what effect did living a lie have on Adam, and what effect will the truth or a lie have on Aaron and Cal? So they get back to the house, and now a second conversation they walk in on. This Bacon family has taken shelter from a storm, a rainy day, and they're talking to Adam. And it's really interesting to see the story of Adam, where we're not talking about Kathy or Samuel Hamilton, but with strangers. And Adam really comes off like a weird, strange dude. He doesn't have any social graces, seems to tune out when the Bacons are talking to him. So they want to know about the boys' education, about the farm. Again, the farm symbolizing how Adam is doing emotionally, spiritually, how healthy Adam is. Well, there's just nothing going on at the farm because Adam has been in a funk these last almost dozen years, and the farm resembles, symbolizes how Adam is doing, and so he's planted nothing and he's sown nothing, so he's reaped nothing, and the farm is just a giant mess, just like Adam himself has been a giant mess. And what about the boys? Is anybody looking after them? Well, Adam has just recently had this breakthrough after seeing Kathy, and after previous to seeing Kathy, the death of Samuel Hamilton, and previous to that, Lee's interpretation of Genesis 4. Those three events have coalesced to make Adam a new creation, but it's too soon. He hasn't had a chance to turn his life around, and so he's being peppered with question by the Bacons about the education and the farm, and Adam having to think about all these things now that he's got his eyes off of his own pain. Now he can put his eyes on other people and focus on being a good father to the boys. Immediately, he, of course, remembers his own father and his own brothers. So they're still talking, but Charles is picturing his whole world swinging around. He's picturing his father and how they had no, or maybe even worse than no education, a pseudo weirdo education, where all they heard was not only military stuff, but Cyrus's weirdo take on military history and strategy. And so that leaves Adam to remember his pretty awful father, but also remember that it's been a decade since he's contacted Charles, and so he's distracted from the Bacons by his thoughts, his remembrance, and now what he's going to do with his remembrance. He's going to write a letter to Charles. He's going to see Charles. He's just purchased a car. Maybe he could drive cross country in this car that he's just purchased. Who knows? But he's not listening to the Bacons. Well, the Bacons aren't just a couple. They've got a daughter, and the daughter is named Abra, and the rain subsides, and Lee has made tea, so Abra exits with Aaron and Cal for the third conversation of the chapter. And at first, we brace ourselves because so far the only woman we've met in this novel who has some sense of power, control, smart, has used those talents and abilities for the most evil purpose. And so Abra immediately reminds the reader of Kathy in that she is manipulative. She tries to get power in the relationship by being smarter, by being a city folk versus their country folk. In fact, the Trask are probably richer than she is, I'm guessing, and yet she just assumes that they're poor and hillbillies and uneducated, and so she takes the power position. And so if you've been jaded in the first half of the novel by Kathy, we start to assume that Abra is like that. But two things mitigate against that. Number one, her name is Abra, and so we know in the novel if a character's name begins with an A, that they're going to tend more toward the good. And secondly, Steinbeck says that she wants to touch Aaron, and she has the beginnings of love for Aaron. So those two things tip our hand that while at first, through her manipulation, we think that she's going to be, oh no, a 10-year-old Kathy, yuck. But it seems like that she might share some characteristics of Kathy, but she is no Kathy. This chapter, I think, settles that. Oh, but Aaron seems to be a chip off the old Adam block. And what is going on with Cal? Well, Cal, is he really the product of a Charles and Kathy? Is he the product of those two? And he is described by Steinbeck as someone who, upon seeing an anthill, will kick it, whereas Aaron, upon seeing an anthill, will seek to understand it. Aaron wants to be part of the world. Cal wants to make his mark on the world, and usually through shortcuts and negativity, through bad. And so Cal sees that yet again in his life, the same old pattern is taking place. The new girl, Abra, or any person, prefers Aaron to him, and so Cal has to kick over the anthill, and so he manipulates the circumstances to make Abra shudder at the gift that he is going to give. And so, ironically, just as the chapter began with a discussion of their dad in a box, dead and put in the ground, so the gift and the chapter began with a discussion of a gift and the misunderstood gift. Who is the gift giver? And so Cal uses, in a very Kathy way, Cal uses Abra's idols against her. And so what she wants to be more than anything is a grown-up, and she talks and acts too big for her age. Cal focuses in on that, and just like Kathy, can take the one weakness of a man and exploit it and make him seem like a totally terrible man without his good outweighing his bad. It seems like Cal is doing the same with Abra. So he's doing a few things at once. He's regaining the power play over her, he's controlling her, and he's also making sure that his brother doesn't get to get all the love. And so maybe it is going to be a jealous story of Cain and Abel. But maybe it's not, because Cal, we see hugging Adam, telling him it's going to be all right, even lying to him about using his gun. And so on the one hand, Steinbeck is very heavy-handedly thinking about making us think about the dynamic between Charles and Adam, between Cain and Abel, between Kathy and Adam. And yet, whenever we are given over to think that this is just a redo of those, Steinbeck takes it away. And so Cal seems to have much more heart than Charles, and certainly much more heart than Kathy. And Abra, while she shares some characteristics with Kathy, Abra seems to use them for love and not as a monster and not as a demon. And so now we have the second half of the novel in a new generation of people, Cal, Aaron, and Abra. And will they, Tim Shell, will they transcend the names, the power as Steinbeck closes the first chapter of the novel? There is a charge in giving a name. And can you transcend that? Can you choose to do the good, no matter who your parents are or your DNA?